San Francisco real estate at this point is getting clapped to oblivion. If you look at some of the buildings in San Francisco, and if you look at the skyline, a lot of these buildings are actually worthless. Like, if you don't do a 50 to 70% discount, if you don't even do an 80% discount, nobody's going to want it. And even Wells Fargo learned their lesson. They've lost hundreds of millions of dollars in San Francisco real estate. Charles Schwab has yeeted out. We even have Google canceling some of the biggest projects in Silicon Valley in the real estate department because they kind of know that why build when you just buy a foreclosed and distressed building. So if you check out SF Yimby, you have plans for a 71-story residential tower in San Francisco. This is a really good district considering that this 71-story tower will be right next to the Salesforce building and also 181 Fremont. And these are all some of the most expensive prime real estate areas. If you have a building and if you have condos or apartments next to the Salesforce Tower, generally you're commanding very high rents. So Bay Hill Ventures has announced plans for a new skyscraper at 530 Howard Street, overlooking the San Francisco's Salesforce Tower Park. And if you look at this, it will be 840 square feet, create almost 700 apartments for lease, and enjoy 30,000 square feet of amenities. You got parking for cars and bicycles, and 10% will be designated as affordable. Now, the apartments that are not affordable most likely be very expensive. Like a studio will probably set you back like 3 to 4K. But is anyone going for this tower? My personal opinion, San Francisco real estate is pretty toast. This building is not going to rejuvenate anything. In fact, it'll probably make developers lose more money. Yes, buying land and building this in San Francisco right now is probably easier and cheaper than before, but that's because nobody's here anymore. In fact, I'm going to just give you guys some few numbers here. If you look at the NEMA Tower, right, this is another really fat and big skyscraper that's literally right next to some of the biggest companies in the world, including X, Uber, Lyft, Reddit, you name it. So the NEMA building is humongous, and it has about the same amount of apartments as this skinny skyscraper. Both have about 700 apartments, but this one, the valuation has dropped by 50%. In fact, the current valuation for a building this big is about $250 million. It used to be $500 million. And now Morningstar comes in, slaps it again, downgrades the loan tied to NEMA Apartments, pretty much saying that NEMA will probably have a very high chance of actually foreclosing the building because nobody wants it, right? This is one of the newest developments, and I don't really think if this building's do bad, then you should build another one, right? It doesn't really make that much sense. But then again, though, developers are making some of the craziest deals and craziest bets. Let me tell you guys what's going on here. Despite office buildings being some of the worst properties to invest in, Americans and builders are building the most amount of apartment buildings I've ever seen. It'll probably freak out even in other developed countries. Like the amount of apartments being built and the amount of offices being built in America is at an all-time high. Even the FDIC is warning people that there's $3 trillion of commercial office loans spread across all regions of the U.S., even in Alaska. Like, it doesn't really make that much sense when you see this many foreclosed office buildings and how low office building prices are getting every single day. So yeah, I don't really think making an ultra tall luxury skyscraper for rent will do anything. Not to mention, you even have distressed condo buildings. Remember, condos are different from apartments because condos are for sale. In 1554 Market Street, I've seen this building debut like 3 years ago. And ever since its debut, now nobody wants it. They haven't sold a single apartment. Everything is empty. The floor retail space is empty. Nobody wants it for rent. And it's in like the landlord and builder are so down bad that they're actually having to transform these into rentals. And like I said, this building is right next to the NEMA building. So I don't think they're getting any tenants if they're transforming this into rentals. San Francisco real estate is really, really toast here. It's over for San Francisco real estate. If you're one of those guys who want to go to San Francisco and buy like an apartment for investment, please do not do this, right? Some people say just buy the dip. I'm all for buying the dip. But when you have so many tech companies leaving and rich people leaving, nobody's going to buy the condo that you're willing to sell a few years later. In fact, I think San Francisco properties are still very expensive. Like seriously, these condos are still like $500,000 for a one bedroom, and no way it's worth that much. And prices will continue to drop. Don't be naive, okay, and think that prices will rebound because interest rates are getting cut. It's not, especially when Americans, especially rich Americans, have so many different choices to buy a home and invest in real estate. There's Nashville, there's Miami, there's Orlando, there's Austin, there's Las Vegas. So many better cities than San Francisco out there. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment below before I leave. Check out the private Discord server, guys. Patreon link below. It's a free trial, and we're actually making some pretty insane profits, with the most recent profit being over 100% gain for the UNH calls, and also a pretty good coin call making 50%. Check us out. So we trade live every single day, and we're making a bunch of money.